How many times have you heard the term spiritual awakening? It might sound like something only a select few experience, but in reality, it's a journey that can transform anyone. Picture letting go of old baggage, the urge to please, the need to control, and even the fear of death. It's almost like being reborn, without losing who you truly are. And if you're thinking it means giving up on material things, you might be surprised to find out how much you actually gain in peace and purpose. Dive into the 5 things spiritually awakened people let go of, and you'll find a whole new way of looking at life. Curious to see what you could drop to live with more freedom? As you go through a spiritual awakening, it's common to notice major shifts in your habits and even in your relationships with family. It's like seeing the world through fresh eyes, changing how you react to the situations around you. Imagine realizing that conflicts and misunderstandings don't affect you like they used to. There's a new calm within. The things that once deeply irritated you seem to lose their grip, as if an inner strength is starting to expand. This is just the first taste of a transformation that goes way beyond words. This depth of awakening isn't reserved for just a few. It's within reach for anyone willing to look inward. For those who embark on this path, simple practices like daily meditation or observing their own thoughts can be the first steps. It's not about religion or rituals, but about genuinely seeing yourself, almost like you're the observer of your own life. The change might feel subtle at first, but over time, it brings a consciousness that's truly transformative. Every bit of self-reflection opens doors to new insights, revealing layers you hadn't seen before. This process brings out a desire to explore this new version of yourself, one that understands life with more clarity and depth. People and situations that once felt confusing start to make sense, almost as if the universe is responding to this transformation. This realignment goes beyond inner peace. It redefines your essence, which soon reflects in a move away from needing external validation. As self-worth awakens, it naturally begins to grow stronger on its own. Throughout the awakening, a powerful realization emerges. The need for approval from others starts to lose its pull. That constant craving for external validation, which once felt so essential, now seems hollow. It's like self-worth comes from within, free from the weight of other people's opinions. Imagine the freedom of living without the burden of pleasing everyone around you. It makes room for you to express your true self. This is a clear sign that you're beginning to live for yourself, without the fear of disappointing others. Those who feel this newfound freedom often notice that sacrificing their own essence to meet others' expectations just doesn't make sense anymore. Being true to oneself, even if it means going against the tide, becomes a top priority. People who used to hold back to fit and start making choices that genuinely align with their beliefs. This authenticity can show up in small ways, like saying no when something doesn't sit right with their values, or seeking out spaces that honor who they truly are. This commitment to authenticity brings a confidence that goes beyond words, where self-worth no longer depends on applause. It's a transformation that lifts a huge weight off your shoulders and opens the door to living with more ease and centeredness. From here, you start to realize that the material things you once accumulated to impress others might not hold the meaning you thought they did. After all, true abundance goes way beyond physical possessions. During the spiritual awakening process, your relationship with material things starts to shift in a big way. What once seemed essential accumulating, buying, impressing begins to lose its grip as the focus shifts to inner wealth. You start asking yourself what you really need to feel fulfilled and begin to see that the value of material things is often temporary. Imagine someone who, instead of splurging on pricey items, seeks experiences that truly feed the soul, a walk in nature, a quiet moment, or a deep, genuine conversation. This sense of letting go doesn't mean giving up everything, but rather no longer seeing external things as the source of happiness. Slowly, the idea that less is more starts to settle in, and this shows up in simpler, more intentional choices. Instead of filling a void by collecting things, you start to realize that true fulfillment comes from within. Each item you keep has a clearer purpose and often a deeper personal meaning. Even the idea of giving and sharing starts to make more sense, creating a healthy cycle of letting go. This shift in perspective opens up a new way of seeing life. It's possible to live well with just the essentials, bringing a peace that money alone can't buy. This freedom feels like a doorway to let in what really matters. After all, if our control over what we have is just an illusion, maybe it's time to trust more in life's natural flow and less in the things we think we own. One of the deepest lessons of spiritual awakening is understanding that control is mostly an illusion. Many people cling to the idea that they need to control everything around them, people, situations, even the future. But over time, you start to see that this constant need to control creates more stress than peace. Imagine the freedom of loosening the reins and letting things unfold in their own time. This is the universe's true invitation, to let life flow at its own pace, without the pressure of defining every step. Letting go of control doesn't mean being careless. It's about learning to trust the natural process of things. Often, obsessively trying to ensure everything goes according to plan can block other, even better, opportunities. By easing up a bit, you make room for spontaneity and the unexpected, which often brings valuable lessons. For those on the awakening path, this trust shows up in things like accepting a surprise with grace or following intuition over a strict plan. Once you embrace this surrender, it feels like a weight has been lifted, revealing a new way of living. Suddenly, life gains a lightness that wasn't there before, and each moment becomes a chance to learn. This natural flow of existence calls for a mindful approach toward the people around you, especially those who bring positive energy and help you grow. After all, toxic relationships start to fade away when your energy is focused on what truly matters. During the awakening process, it becomes clear that some relationships aren't adding to your well-being. Instead, they drain your energy and hold back your growth. At this point, you start questioning the connections you keep, who truly supports you, and who brings more stress than joy. Recognizing this leads to a conscious choice to step back from relationships that no longer align with your new path. Think of the strength it takes to say no to old ties that no longer make sense, making room for new and authentic friendships. This process of letting go isn't always easy, but it's necessary for your own energy to thrive. People going through this often find that their social circle changes as their priorities shift. The energy once spent trying to maintain dysfunctional relationships is now directed toward connections that truly matter. A practical way to do this is by seeking out groups or activities that align with shared values, like meditation, personal growth, or gatherings with people who share the same commitment to evolving. Letting go of toxic relationships creates an atmosphere of growth, where each connection adds value, offering support and inspiration. When you're surrounded by people who resonate with this new frequency, the fear of loneliness starts to fade. The focus shifts to a genuine search for meaningful relationships, where every interaction strengthens your journey. Gradually, you begin to let go of fears, including the fear of death, moving toward a broader, more peaceful view of life's cycle. As spiritual awakening deepens your understanding of life, the fear of death begins to lose its grip. You start to see death not as an ending, but as a natural transition, something that's simply part of the cycle of all living things. This perspective brings a calm that allows you to face mortality with a lighter heart. Imagine someone who, rather than fearing the end, learns to honor every moment, fully appreciating the value of now. This shift isn't about ignoring mortality. It's about seeing it as a natural mystery, a step that we'll all take someday. For many, this new perspective on death inspires a more mindful, present way of living. When the focus shifts away from fearing the end, it makes room for experiences and discoveries that might have been put off out of fear. People who adopt this mindset start living with more purpose, enjoying their time without constantly worrying about what's next. A practical example is choosing to try things you've always wanted to do, instead of waiting for someday. After all, overcoming the fear of death opens the door to a fuller, more meaningful life. This natural acceptance of death also deepens one's connection to spirituality and the whole cycle of existence. With it, anxiety about the future eases, and the present takes on a new significance. This calmer view of life and death doesn't mean giving up on living fully. If anything, it allows you to embrace the present with all its intensity. And living with this kind of purpose and fearlessness is what makes the spiritual awakening journey so powerful and enriching. So, after diving into these deep changes, why not start applying them? What would it be like to live without the weight of seeking others' approval, without clinging to things that don't truly define who you are? Spiritual awakening invites each of us to ask, what are you ready to let go of? It's in that release that true freedom is found. Let this journey lead you to a more authentic and aware life. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep up with this journey of learning and transformation.